Hey guys, welcome to episode 6 of Down on the Bayou. I am BayouSniper, and I am very pleased to have my first team captain, co-captain, on my show today as a guest. It's Spurs fan Ginobilisaurus. How are you today, brother?
I'm well. I'm excited to be here and to talk with you about hoops.
Man, I was telling you before in the green room before this, like I was so excited that I found a Spurs collector to talk to this week because not just on Top Shot, but like in the NBA world right now in the early season, man, we're in Wemby year 2. There's so much to talk about the Spurs. Like, I'm super pumped to talk to you about it.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah, so let's just go ahead and dive on in, man. Like the Spurs have changed, man. You've got year 2 Wemby, you got Chris Paul, you got Harrison Barnes. Like, man, your squad's looking a little different. And to be honest, like I'm super pumped every single time I tune in, not just for Wemby now, but for other reasons. Like, I want to see how Chris Paul meshes. I want to see my favorite Spurs player, Jeremy Sohan. I want to see how he develops into his role. Yeah, he's my favorite Spurs player, man. I love him. I love him. So, what's your thoughts on the squad this year?
It's all completely different because of Wembanyama. We are, as a Spurs fan, we are completely outside like our comfort zone because everywhere you go, Wembanyama is a lot more commercial than like Tim Duncan and any of the other Spurs combined wherever. So like little kids know who Victor Wembanyama is, you know,
Right.
um, and so it changed everything completely. And we were very lucky to draft Jeremy Sohan, but the whole Wembanyama effect just like overshadows the fact that we had a number 9 pick, and that's one of the highest picks that we have had as a franchise. So there are so many little angles that sometimes can be overshadowed by like people wanting the Spurs to be interesting. So there's like lots of growth that has to come from like the players, right? And the staff is there to support them and like to push them. And so Jeremy Sohan has had, I mean, he looks great. And some of this stuff with Sohan, like you can see his confidence it's at an all-time high. And I mean, like the thing is that the more these players play together, the better they're going to find their own like little chemistry, right? So, for example, like when you think about some of the best teams in the league right now, Murray, Denver. So they have had like so many years of experience between like that core of players with Jokic and Murray. When you look at Boston, like it's been years that
Man,
man
Brown and
and Brown have been working on that chemistry. So like right now, what I'm seeing as a Spurs fan is it's something that's in heading in the right direction, so that like maybe 7 years from now we could be something. So that's all I'm looking at it. That's how I'm looking at it right now. And unfortunately, like the way the league works, we might only have Jeremy Sohan and Devin Vassell, 7 years from now, right? Because like there are so many changes that are happening in the roster year after year. So it's hard to find. It's gonna be hard to find that chemistry, especially with like every good team needs like a very solid bench unit, right? So that's where we're heading right now, right? We see other teams that are a few years ahead of us, such as Dallas that has great chemistry. OKC has great chemistry. So we'll see how everyone's windows will look like 7 years from now, when I expect that perhaps Victor will be at the top of his talents.
man, and that's such a good point about Boston and Denver is that That's what good franchises do, man. They believe in their picks, they believe in their players, they develop them through the years. And unfortunately, we do live in a show me now, what have you done now world, right? So if you're not giving me the instant gratification, if you're not giving me the instant success, teams hit the panic button, including my own Pelicans, man. I don't know how many times we've changed the roster. Like, and now we have old tried and true Spur point guard DeJounte Murray, which I love, and I'm so happy he's on our squad. But
Hmm.
looking at the Spurs, like I think that little group of Sohan, Wemby, and the rookie Castle, love him. I'm a big UConn guy. I think that's going to be the three that continues. And going back to Sohan, he kind of got a bad rap last year, and it kind of pissed me off a little bit in the NBA space
Hmm.
because Pop put him at the point, and we knew it wasn't going to work, but that wasn't the point, man. The point was is to get him to be a better all around player for when Wimby's ready, and then he can take on more responsibilities. And I think he did way better the second half of the year, and
Yeah.
Sohan really developed because of that. Like you have to go through growing pains, and I don't think a lot of teams understand that, but Pop obviously
No,
does, man.
and and like there might be a game situation like in the future where like maybe our point guard has 3 fouls in the second quarter, so like he might be able to just bring up the ball, and like we'll feel comfortable
Exactly.
with that. This is what these reps are for, right? So we're not really putting players in uncomfortable situations in the future. The thing is that sometimes like like sometimes what we read on Twitter is like these are fans that are really um what's the best way to put it?
They're just
there
wild,
there are
dude.
fans that
They're just wild,
yeah,
bro.
yeah, like sometimes I like to jump on spaces, and then I'm like, okay, that was a good 2 minutes of like crazy stuff. So like uh yeah, definitely, like I listen for like just critical information whenever I hear the players talking, whenever like you hear like some of like the media that follows the teams. So I try to pick that information as opposed to like people's opinions. So yeah, so it's really interesting. So like the fans were very rough on Sohan. Some of the media was rough on Sohan. Um, but the reality is that I mean, he was just trying to do the best that he could, and hopefully those reps will be handy in the future. That's
Well,
that's what I'm hopeful for. And just to bring it up to your point, you talked about like how everyone wants instant gratification. A lot of these Spurs fans, they believe that we're actually going to win a championship. They want to win a championship like this year, to like next year. No, no, no. It needs to be within 3 years. So I don't know, man. Maybe they know something about their life's expectancy or something, but definitely that's just not realistic when you look at like that how most of the best players in the NBA have picked at the age of 27. So if you're expecting something from Victor Wembanyama at the age of 23, you're being unrealistic, right? So
100%.
um, so that's just the way I look at it too. We're a very young team.
Well, like going back to Boston, like, they won their first championship this year. And Tatum came in the league in 2018, dude. Like they're both like Jalen and Jason are 26, 27, and now they're hitting their stride and they look unstoppable. Like I don't see anybody in the East touching them, but that's through years of struggle and development,
But
getting to the Eastern Conference
but do,
Finals, failing, injuries.
do you remember like 2 years ago there were like rumors like, oh, they're gonna trade Jalen Brown, right?
Of
Like I think
course.
after they reach, yeah. So there are those moments, and right now Boston is living through those moments. Right now, like the talk in the media is like we're wasting Jokic's best years. I mean, like it's so tragic when I hear those things because I'm just like, like Jokic probably doesn't win it without like Jamal Murray, and Murray could be struggling right now. And the thing is that historically speaking, we've seen small small franchises like the Spurs. At some point, they were linking us. They were linking the Spurs with trades between Tony Parker and Jason Kidd. They're blowing it up. Like they're gonna trade them. Tim Duncan needs to win now. And when I look back at that, there's no guarantee that you're gonna win with Jason Kidd. But Parker was able to take us to a few to a championship himself, right? He was very valuable when we lost in the final against the Heat in a Game 7. And the next year, I wouldn't trade those memories, right? And I don't know, Frank. It's really tough to win, and I feel like fans are very spoiled, and they want to win like Boston used to win back in the day, or like the Yankees win so many
Yeah.
so many championships in a run, right? So
Or the Spurs, or the early 2000 Spurs.
yeah. I mean, yeah. So the people get very spoiled like that. I mean, maybe I was spoiled back in the day too, but like I like I learned throughout as you mature that like as you just as long as you're in the playoffs, that's all that matters. And like sometimes things go unexpected, right? Like sometimes somebody catches on fire, and that's the end of a series. Some nights somebody could hit a miracle shot, and that things could go either way. So it's a fun sport in that sense. So
Well, and if you look at the Nuggets, like we talked about Boston, and then the Nuggets won the year before, right? And if you look at that roster, the missing piece and the secret sauce to me is Aaron Gordon. He kind of unlocked a lot of stuff.
mm,
Obviously, Jokic is the MVP, he's the best player, and I think Wemby fits in that Jokic mold, right? Like we know who the guy is; it's pretty obvious. However, going forward in the future, I really see. I know I said I'm high on Jeremy Sohan. There's a reason for that. I don't see him as this Dennis Rodman reincarnation that everybody sees him as. I actually see him as an Aaron Gordon. Um, Once he starts to develop his threes coming
mm,
coming on, right? And I really see his play style in the future. If the Spurs want success, following that Aaron Gordon moniker play type would really unlock
mm.
the Spurs. And
Interesting. I
it's
had not I
yeah,
had
it's a
not
little
thought
bit.
about that comparison. That's a really good one. And and you know what? Like Jeremy has been playing really well this season, and
Yes.
he's scoring a lot of points in the paint, and that's because like Victor's creating space at the top of the key. Everybody thinks that he's gonna jack some threes, and then like in the meantime they're running some play down there, and Sohan is posting up somebody who's smaller than him, right? Or they're switching him on somebody else. So it's really interesting to see what they're doing with him. um, and there are all kinds of stories with so many different players with the Spurs, and to see how they can try to be a fit with this current roster.
And also, do you watch Gil's Arena? You know, Gilbert Arena's podcast. Have you ever seen that? Like, do you pop
No,
in occasionally?
I
Oh,
can't. I can't. He comes up with so many really bad takes about like international players, and
okay.
he dislikes the Spurs, and he's always
I
coming up
understand.
with stuff about like Tim Duncan and like Jokic.
Yeah,
He's anti international players in the NBA, and for me, without the international players, I wouldn't be following this sport. So
100%. It's a worldwide game.
like somebody like Arenas doesn't understand what it's like to like have a dream that you're gonna move to another country,
Right,
and then one day be as good as the people that you see on TV when nobody around you plays that sport, right?
right.
So like
Well,
a lot of these international players, they have to dream that they can afford to be on a plane. So
100%.
that's something that like you can drive across the United States. Like it could take you like a few days, right? But you can't enter the USA if you don't have a visa. So
Correct.
he takes a lot of these things for granted, and I can't take him seriously.
Well, so like, so I guess I'm going to push back just a little bit. However, I
No, but
totally,
tell me,
totally,
what did he say? Tell me,
okay.
no, tell me.
So, I totally understand where you're coming from about that because I know exactly what takes you're talking about, and I've seen it on the podcast, on the Gills Arena YouTube channel, and I've been like, ooh, don't agree with that, because I coach basketball everywhere, and I see these stories like you're talking about, so like when he said that, and then Rashad McCants and all them when they kind of joined in, totally agree. I agree with you. I don't agree with him on that. However, like
Hmm.
I do like Gilbert. Like I watched him as a kid. Like I find his podcast entertaining, and there's some good stuff on there. But the reason why I bring him up is because they had a recent discussion about Wemby. They're all super high on Wemby, like everybody else. However, the question was, why does Wemby in year two look like a rookie again? Like he's still amazing. He's still going to be top tier player. We know that. He looks like a top 10 player right now. But what they're saying is why does it seem like he's still year one Wemby when he could be elite top 5, top 3 Wemby if he worked out in the summer and added stuff to his bag? They were saying he doesn't have a signature move that he goes to, which I kind of agree on that. However, I don't really think he needs that. He just needs to have the game slow down for him more and kind of take on that more playmaking role, right? Kind of what Jeremy did last year, like handle the ball more. So I just wanted to get your opinion on Wemby year two. What are you seeing? What's your evaluation on him as a fan? Like, man, he's only 20 years old. Like, we can't make an evaluation right now. Like, I just wanted to know, like where do you think he is, and are you happy in some areas? Are you in some areas a little concerned?
So yeah, so I completely disagree with Arenas' takes.
Right.
But before I say that, when I was younger, I used to like a lot of his comments. So
Abachi.
so I was looking at my Facebook the other day, and like on the profile section, there was an area where you could put like quotes or random things, I guess, a general area, and I would put quotes, and a lot of them were from Arenas, like two, three of them. Um, Especially, I remember reading the one about shark attacks, and how. So, anyways, all right. So about Wemby, yeah, it's an overreaction take. It's only four games into the season.
100%.
Um, he I think he only played like 10 minutes during the preseason. So they know that he was. He had a long summer at the beginning of the summer while the playoffs were happening and the Spurs were eliminated. I think he focused on like weight training, and stability and those kind of stuff, and working on some moves. And then obviously, when you're in the Olympics for like 4 weeks, like you don't have access. I mean, they have practice, right? But they don't have like personalized practice, and he's not with the Spurs. Like I'm sure the Spurs were able to send some people, and like like they kept an eye on him or whatever. But like, and I'm sure he's got like some like routines to follow or like daily things to do by the Spurs. So
But man, he just had a five
he
by
he
five
he
game.
he's got a lot of minutes. He's got a lot of minutes on him so far, because of the Olympics. And I mean, I'm not taking I'm not taking any of his stats during at the beginning of the season as an indicator of anything. He did have like a 5 by 5 this morning, and I watched a
Yes.
lot of it live, and I was really happy. But at some point, like he's playing on a back-to-back, and at some point, like the commentators were saying like, it's a 14-point game, like like we're seeing if like the bench unit can keep the lead so that Wemby can rest. and then like the Jazz, they scored like two more buckets, and like immediately Pop had to bring back Chris Paul and Wemby. So the Spurs invented time management, right? So they're gonna be very careful with him. They're like we lost a lot of prime years of Tim Duncan because like
Yep.
and Ginobili, because like we didn't rest them because they would get injured. So I'm not taking this too seriously. Like you can talk to me in 20 games into the season, but maybe you can have a better sample size. But at the end of the day, like again, these guys are just too young. You can't expect them to win. If they have a winning record, it would surprise me by the end of the year. But at the end of the day, like they're still finding the rhythm.
Yes.
They need more reps, right? That's all that matters. They had lots of reps last year, but now these players, they were given things to work on during the off season, and and we're seeing some positive sides from some of them. Right now, we don't have our starting shooting guard, and that also affects like a lot of things, right? So you know the reality is that the Spurs are meant to have a losing season, and and people are gonna say, "Oh, we're wasting Wemby's best years," like the same way they're saying about Jokic. But
Not even
at,
close.
at the end of the day, I think that like they're like when you hear Victor, he sounds very mature, and he kind of I feel like from his answers that he kind of understands that he knows when NBA players are going to peak, and he knows that he still has to improve, and he
Yes.
still knows that he gets more reps, he needs more reps. And you get little hints of him saying like, "Oh, the league is not ready for, like, I hope the league is ready for me, like 3 years from now," or so on. I think that was the quote. So there are still so many aspects of his game where he has to grow. Where
Yes.
like we're
It's
we're
year two,
still
man.
on our we're still on our way up, and we gotta enjoy the ride, because at some point, like some things will start declining. Like, so all we can do as fans is just like enjoy the little uh the little baskets that he's giving us, the cool little highlights, because we've never had that
Yes.
kind of stuff before. We've never had that sense of coolness as Spurs fan. It was always like boring basketball, and okay, yeah, you guys can pass, and you guys are
Hey,
old.
I'm a
We were
big Tim
always we
Duncan
were
fan.
always
That was
called
not
we were
boring.
always called we were always called like, oh, the Spurs are old. I think I heard the Spurs are old for like 10 years, but old
Man,
wins.
if you're a real hoop head, watching Tim Duncan play basketball is pure basketball porn. It's pure cinema. Watching Tim Duncan play basketball, like if you really love the game and you understand sets and you understand backdoor cuts and you understand how buckets get scored, watching Tim Duncan play basketball is the most beautiful thing ever. But yeah, to a casual viewer, it's like, oh, another mid range, another off ball screen and pick and roll. Awesome. But to
Yeah,
real hoop heads, we're
I
like,
don't know
damn,
what they were
this is
watching. I don't
great.
know what they
They
were
can't
watching.
stop it.
I don't know what they were
Watching Tim
watching. I'm
Duncan,
trying to
man.
think of. I'm trying to think of a time where, like, I mean, maybe you just don't like basketball if you say that, like, this kind of stuff is boring. Sometimes I end up watching like 3-on-3 basketball sometimes, and I'm like fascinated by like little things. So I think like maybe I'm a basketball nerd, and
That's
and
why
I
you're on
I,
here,
I
brother. That's why you're here.
and
That's
I
why you're
enjoy
here.
and I enjoy like the little intricacies, and I'm like, oh my god, like I guess I don't know like names of plays, and like, oh, they just ran this and that, like, but I enjoy like like just I can keep my eyes on like the main ball handler and where the pass might go. But I'm not able to like read something that they started like 5 seconds or 10 seconds ago. I can't read it like that, like a quarterback, I guess, or a point guard. But yeah, I just enjoy the game live, and it just brings me so much excitement.
Well, just I I think what you said about 2 minutes ago was super important. Enjoy the ride. Guys, you're
Yeah,
witnessing an alien. You're witnessing an alien. He's on your team. Relax. Enjoy. He's 20 years old.
yeah,
It's going to be okay. And from what I took from that Gilbert question, the reason why I asked is because the only thing I really agree with is what he's saying is like, I can't wait to see what Wemby's go-to move is. I want to see when you need a bucket, when the Spurs need a bucket, later on when he starts to develop, what is Wemby's go-to? Like we know, for instance, Kevin Durant. We know when any team he's on needs a bucket, the ball's in his hand. We know it's going to be a hang pull, hesitation, dribble crossover, pull up. We know it. We know it's coming. The defense knows it's coming, but they can't stop it. And I can't wait to see what that's going to be for Wemby.
I think. Okay, let me ask you a question. What is LeBron's signature move?
Well, it depends on which LeBron you're talking about.
No, like okay, you can only pick one career move.
I think it's the "le fuck you" three. I think it's the, that when he's feeling it and he does a little look down and then he spins the ball back to him and step back three. But if that's like
Yeah,
recent, but like LeBron's always been a bully, man. Like when he puts his head down, it's when he's at his best. He usually just crosses. He'll like to cross right to left, dip the shoulder down, and go up for a scoop layup. That's kind of his thing when he was,
yeah, yeah,
younger, leading into Miami.
yeah.
But like, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is like these like amazing all-time great players. When you need a bucket, they go to these
So
type of like
right
it's coming.
now, right now for me, Wemby's signature move is his step back three. Like whenever he takes that 3-pointer, he
Okay, I
likes to
like
take the
that. I like that
3-pointer usually from
because it's not
like
even
one
a
of the
step back.
sides.
Yeah, he
Sometimes,
steps to the side, right? That's what I
yeah,
like.
yeah, yeah,
He
yeah,
steps
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
diagonally,
yeah,
and it's
yeah, yeah,
different.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's
And he
so
kind
that's
of
his
leans.
signature
He
move right
leans.
now. Do we know where the league will be like 5 years from now? Is this like what it is? Just are guys just going to keep taking extremely long trees because maybe they don't want to post up and like I think that could be it.
It's
We
a
might just
possibility.
not recognize it. He has not hit a game winner with that yet, right? So it could be like, oh wow, that's his signature move. Because that's what signature moves are, like they come in like the win, like the moment where like things are tied, and right now we're losing. So he's
But man, those
developing,
moments
so
are
so
gonna
he's
come.
developing that signature move.
Yeah, so I think like that was like my big question I wanted to ask you because I think it's so interesting to talk about because you actually have a guy that we can talk about this. Like he's gonna be an all-time great. Like I'm gonna say it right now. I don't care what people say. Like it's gonna happen, and I can't wait to see what that Wimby anthology is gonna be. Like what's
Yeah,
that
I
moment? What's that go to, man? I can't wait.
I said it to a friend, a Top Shot friend, Dream, the other day. I was on his stream live, and I said to him, "All we have to worry about as Spurs fans is how can I be alive, like
Yeah.
7 years from now." Like that's our only goal. Like just make sure you go to work, you sleep well, you take care of your body, you live a healthy life, don't do anything stupid, and you're gonna watch something really cool.
Man, I
Um,
love that.
so
I love that.
so that's the
Just,
way I see it.
just
I'm
be
just
alive for
like,
hoops. Be alive for hoops.
so yeah, like we were getting blown out. I mean, we won last night. We won against Utah, but we were getting blown out by OKC, and I'm just like, yeah, OKC is much better. Like,
Yeah, as a
they got
team,
so
just
many.
better.
Yeah, they're the best team defensively right now. They just added Caruso, and they don't even have Hartenstein. So like I'm just like, yeah, I'm just
It is
watching
what it
this.
is.
Let's let's see if I can if I can go on the multi-view on League Pass. Let's see if I can like find another game, and like I'll come back in a bit. Maybe we'll see if we made a run. There's a game in the fourth quarter, And maybe I forget a little bit about this game, and then I'll check the stats again, and then we're still losing by 20. So I'm just trying to find the little cool moment when I wake up early in the mornings, and just enjoying the ride. Like you got to remember this: we can't be spoiled as Spurs fans. We just had like some years where our best uh, that we really had no hope.
Yeah.
We just having the Jante Murray and the Rosa wasn't enough. They're good players, but just it wasn't enough firepower. It wasn't. They
Right.
couldn't bring other players to come to San Antonio. So now this is completely different. We've got an alien. We've got like a bunch of international French players that looked up to him, and at some point might say, "Hey, I want to go play with this guy."
Everyone was playing
I'll
them.
take. Yeah. So it's interesting for me. I'm just fascinated by the whole thing. I think my goal this year is to try to like listen. I was just thinking about this yesterday. I want to listen to like because I used to do this when after like all of our like in the last 5 years of Ginobili and Duncan, like I would watch like the interviews after the game, and then I stopped doing that, because like now I'm playing, like I'm following other teams. So the Spurs were so bad, I lost a little bit of hope, and I was just like, maybe at some point in the future will be good. And I started appreciating some players, or teams in the playoffs. I would never buy like another jersey, for example, but I was like, oh, like uh, there's talent somewhere else. But now I want to go back to watch like the interviews and like um, see how the players react to like losses and like the things they
Right.
say. I wanna go deeper into that world because like I feel like I need to know these players better. I feel like the 3-4 of them are going to be like a really important part of my fandom as a Spurs fan. So as opposed to like not having any hope um, or not knowing where the franchise was going for the next 5-10 years, right? So mhm.
Well, that's part about being an NBA fan and being an NBA fan on Top Shot. That's like the ultimate fandom combination because I know you're just like me. You are not fully happy until the NBA season starts. Then you feel fulfilled. Like that's how I am, and that's how I expect you to be. Is like when the NBA season is happening, then I'm fully happy, and then now I've gotten so much into Top Shot that I don't think without it the NBA would be the same for me anymore. Like I really don't. I can't really imagine an NBA season starting without Top Shot. Like it would feel not as memorable or meaningful.
Yeah, top shot. Kind of just it was something that like came into all of NBA fans or in it came under our radars like 3-4 years ago. And but I think the coolest thing about Top Shot is that like it connects me to 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 fans of other players. Let me explain this.
Okay.
So when I went to a Top Shot event in Paris, I met this guy, and he told me that like his favorite player was Kleva. He plays in
Oh,
Dallas.
okay.
Yeah, and I'm just like, cool, man.
Hey,
Like
I'm a Jordan
like
Hawkins fan, so it
so
is what it
hold on,
is.
so hold on, so hold on. So then like, so I'm like Kleva. He's like my guy, and I remember like So now every time I see Kleva, I think of this user, and I'm like, oh yeah, like. And then so now this is connected to you. The other
Oh
day,
no.
I'm just like, all of the players actually from the Pelicans, a bunch of injuries were happening, and I'm just
Yes.
like, oh, should I play Jordan Hawkins? And then I thought of you. I'm like, oh yeah,
Yes.
he has a bunch of like Jordan Hawkins like um, uh, legendary moments and rares, and I'm just like, I bet that he's gonna play some of them tonight, So that's the cool thing about Top Shot, it allows me to think of like other people who are huge NBA fans, and like sometimes it puts me in their head for a second. I'm like, oh, I bet that he's gonna play him tonight,
Right.
So
I love that, man. That's great.
and I bet some people feel that way about me. It's like, oh, like there's a crazy Spurs fan, and like when I've
It's like
been at some of the
Sohan
events,
rebounds.
some people don't know my name, and they just start calling me Gino, and like I just keep hearing Gino, Gino, and I'm like, is there an Italian guy here? Like, what's going on? And then I realize they're talking to me, right? I'm like, so.
But I will say, so like when I first like, because I just started collecting like last year. Like this is my last season was my first season, and you were one of the first like CNC podcast episodes I stumbled upon. Was like your episode, and when
Oh,
I saw your name, I was like, that is the coolest name ever. That is the coolest, most like innovative
you
name
want to
ever.
know
And
how
like,
it came up? You want to know how
yes,
it came up?
please. What's the origin?
Oh
What's the
man,
origin?
it's so I had a Twitter account and it was just flooded of like political commentary. Like it was
Okay.
just like, and like I would be like, oh man, I'm just sick of this. I'm like, why can't Twitter just be a place where like, I just log in and everything is about sports. And then I was like, what if I just create another account and like, so I've had many stupid email accounts related to like my favorite teams that I like at that moment. At some point, I used to be a huge baseball fan, and my Hotmail account was Braves and
Hotmail.
Cardinals. Yeah, Braves and Cardinals. I didn't know who to cheer for. I'm like, they're both red. They got players I like. So so yeah, so I was just like, I need to come up with something cool, and then yeah, I just thought, well, who's my favorite player, and I'm like, but he's retired, and I'm like, well, so then that's it's kind of like Ginobili forever, like for me there isn't gonna be anybody like him ever in the NBA. Just in terms of like personality, I think he was a very humble person. Um,
International
yeah,
player.
so yeah, the international factor was huge for me.
Of course. His
At some
representation.
point, yeah, because you feel represented in the league, and when I see nowadays Serbian players or somebody like Lauri Markkinen, I'm like, hey, I bet somebody in Finland is like super proud that like he's in the
Yes.
league. We see a Japanese player in the Grizzlies, and I'm like, hey, I love it. So
Yes.
so for me, it represented like somebody that was just that had a dream that seemed unreachable, and he accomplished um, some of the greatest things that he probably never dreamt about. So
I love that. The Ginobilisaurus origins. Speaking of that though, dude, the freaking run it back for this last set was so generous to you Spurs fans. Y'all got everything. You got uh Avery Johnson, you got Robert Horry Lego, you got a Tim Duncan reward, which I'm the proud owner of. I think it's the best historical moment. You got David Robinson, expert reward. Like, dude, y'all got everything in the set. Demano Ginobili, Origins rookie. Like, y'all got
yeah,
everything.
and then there's also a legendary Robert Horry, like a game winner against Detroit.
Yeah, Big Shot Bob. Yeah,
Yeah. So like
like
uh,
y'all
at,
got
at some
everything,
moment
man.
I'll get
So
that moment for
spoiled.
sure, because like I remember watching that moment. I remember watching that series against Detroit, and like it was extremely competitive. Rasheed Wallace just seemed like, he was the Team Duncan and like Antichrist, like he was just like he could play Team Duncan really well. And then they also had like
Yes,
Ben
he could.
Wallace as well. So like at some point they would put Ben Wallace on Timmy. Um, those series were very intense and very physical, right? Um, and then Ginobili was the one guy that like unlocked that series, with his crazy passing and like some crazy layups, and um, that series was magical. So yeah, that rover horror moment, at some point I'll get it. And then what else was I gonna say? The Avery moment from 1999. That's the first year that I watched the Spurs. So that
Oh,
was
it's a
that was
must-have.
also really cool. The David Robinson challenge, I'm completing it. I
Yes,
got I got
join me.
two I got
Yes.
I got two more moments that I need to buy. They're like $12. So
What are they?
I'll complete it. I'll complete it in a bit. Um,
Do you,
but
do you know what
yeah,
moments
I'm
they are?
super excited. Sorry.
Do you know what moments they are that you need?
Uh, yeah, Tyson Chandler and what's the other one? And Dwight and hold
Oh,
on.
the
Yeah.
Charlotte Hornets. Dwight Hornet
So
or
it's like
Dwight Howard.
it's Dwight and Tyson. I think that's what I'm
Okay.
missing. I got offers out on them. So yeah, yeah. So I'm
And
I'm pretty sure I'll complete it like in the next couple of days. I still got like 5 more days. So
man, like I'm super pumped to open that David Robinson. Like, but the Tim Duncan, that was like I've already went over it in a previous like episode. I think that is the best historical moment on the platform. It's just it's got everything, and Tim
so
is
that
the
that's
undisputed, in
that's
my
that's
opinion,
that's from
best power
that
forward.
that's from 2003. That was a series against the Nets.
Yeah, Kenyon
So
Martin,
I
Richard
watched that
Jefferson.
one live, but I haven't seen the moment yet. I haven't seen the moment yet. I haven't seen
Oh,
the Tim Duncan moment, and
dude, you
and I
gotta go
have and
watch
I
it.
haven't seen the David Robinson moment. I want to wait
What are
until I
you
complete the
doing,
challenge.
bro? Come on, man.
sometimes sometimes I try to save some action for later. You can't have everything at the moment.
Okay,
You can't consume
okay,
everything at once.
that's true. I like your style. The thing we were talking about before, no instant gratification with Ginobilisaurus. Like I get it, I get it. I
Yeah,
love I
and
just
and and,
dude
and I, I haven't
that Tim
seen
moment
I
is
haven't seen the Robert Horry moment either. I want to get on. I wanna watch it once I own it. Like I'm just like
okay.
no no no. I gotta hold back.
That's pretty cool. I never thought about that. Like if you know, like you said, like you watch that series live, it's imprinted in your brain. That would be a really cool experience to like not see the moment, get it, and like when once you own it, then you're like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, get a cup of coffee, relax, get a snuggie on, put my slippers on, watch the moment, and enjoy. I love that.
Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. Um, yeah, I mean like oh man, it's wild because like I got last year I went to the Wembanyama debut and
Yeah, I
I
saw.
appear in the Wembanyama debut. So for me it's like where do I go from here? Like what's next?
It's
Like
done. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's done.
it's over. I'm too spoiled. With some Top Shot friends, I went to summer league, and I watched also like the summer league debut of Wembanyama. So like, I- I've had a really lucky life, and I've lived most of my fandom as a Spurs fan abroad or in Canada, which is still outside the United States.
Right.
But yeah, like you live your fandom in your heart, right? Like you
Yes.
don't have to live in the same city, and yeah,
Man, I'm from Texas, born and raised, lived here all my life, and I I'm a New Orleans Pelicans fan. Like it just is what it is. Like I've never been to New Orleans. It just when I was in high school and then like in middle school, watching the Chris Paul and the Tyson Chandler and the David West, and then they go to Anthony Davis and the Rondo DeMarcus Cousins era, and now we're in the Zion era. Like, I just you just love who you love, and you can't change that,
Yeah.
right? It is what it is. So I totally feel that.
Yeah, I was actually talking to a soccer fan the other day, and he was telling me that he was a Chelsea fan in the EPL, and I'm like, how did this happen? Because like they're like a
Yeah.
newer team, and he's like, well, my dad is a Manchester United fan, and I didn't really want to follow it. This fit my personality. Chelsea fit my personality, and I was
Okay,
like, okay, yeah, I
that's
guess. Like,
bold,
I
man.
guess that's the way we all look at it in a way, like, yeah, this team, these guys, they seem like very calm, like they don't seem very cocky. They seem like good professionals. This fits my personality.
I actually love that. That's pretty dope. Like, that's a cool way to go about it. Like
Hmm.
the team chooses you, right? Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that there has to be something about human psychology and connectivity to like uh to these athletes, or like the way they like they interact with each other, or I don't know, like I don't know. We need more time to like go on a deep dive on that. We got to listen to a lot of different
Man,
smart
I think
podcasts
you're
with
I
people that
think you're
analyze all of these things.
I think you're onto something because like I love like horror movies and like dark stuff. I love like true crime stuff like that. And like New Orleans is a pretty like dark place, right? Mysterious voodoo stuff. So like when I was a kid, I was like, oh, like it kind of drew me in a little bit. And then like Anthony Davis is like when he came on the scene, I was like, man, I love this dude. And my fandom just went. So I think you're onto something there. I think you're onto something. And you're
It
pretty
was that
humble, Spurs are
spooky. It was
humble,
that spook. It
hardworking.
was that spook. It was that spooky unibrow.
Heck yeah, dude. Scared living daylights out of people. Give you 50. Like I miss prime
Yeah,
AD
he
and
at,
Boogie.
at some point
I
he
miss
was
that
getting
team with
like
Rondo and
8 blocks. Like when you start looking at some of his historical stats, like, whoa, he did that. Wow.
dude, he's
Especially when you
insane.
when
Like
especially when you look at his stats when he plays against some like East teams, because he has always played in the in
the
the in the Western Conference, and you're like,
Pistons and the
wait,
Wizards,
hold
he
on, like
wrecks them.
I'm like, hold on, like 10 years ago he was doing this, like, whoa.
Yes. Man, and that's what I don't understand. Like how does Anthony Davis not have an origins moment yet? Like how? Like
I
how do I
think they
not have
have
a
to. I think they have to leave some space for like future drops, right? Like I'm pretty
yeah,
sure
that's
like
facts.
TopShot has a plan, and then they say, all right, like we're like on these years we're gonna do these drops. Like they probably like had all of these things planned for such a long time. So I'm pretty
Right.
sure like like they got a plan for the next 2-3 years, right? On like
Yeah,
future moments, and they
that's
want to
facts.
make sure that they cover all the franchises, all the championship winning moments, right? Like, so I can
So
picture I can
what
picture a
is
lot of that. And we haven't had any Jordan moments, and we haven't had any Kobe moments.
I understand
So
that, right? Because that's gonna be like the calling card. That's gonna be like the big ticket once there's a lot of users. That's gonna be, you know, that's gonna be it.
yeah,
So
I've never talked to the right person. And I'm sure if I did talk to the right person, I would ask them that those kind of questions. They wouldn't share them with me. So, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that like something like that is very possible in the future, right?
right.
So
So I have to ask you. So like, well, one, I want to do this with like every guest, and I did it with El Rolio and the Warriors. I told him my favorite moment in his collection, and I want you to guess what do you think my favorite moment of your collection is?
you had El Rolio. Wow. I've chatted
I
with
did.
him. I've chatted with him, but yeah, okay, I gotta watch this episode.
Yeah, you gotta go watch
So
it. It's the previous one.
you're asking me what do I think
I
what do you?
think
So you're asking me to guess what your favorite moment is in my collection.
yep.
Um, so it has to be the It has to be the Ginobili run it back,
Nope.
or
I'll
or
give you
or the
three
or the
guesses.
Wemby Top Shot debut.
Nope.
I
You get one
think.
more guess.
Oh no! I do know. Okay, so it's the Jante Murray dunk against. So it's like a steal and a dunk against. So he steals the ball from Ja. No, he blocked. No, hold on. He scores. He gets a block on Ja, and then he scores something like this. And I actually got to show DeJounte that moment in person.
Ah, lucky bastard. I
So
want to meet
I don't know.
DeJounte.
I think it's one of those three moments.
Okay, so you're 0 for 3. But those are good guesses. My favorite moment of Ginobilisaurus's amazing Spurs collection is the jersey serial rookie MGLE Jeremy Sohan. That is my favorite moment of yours.
Oh, jersey cereal? I got the
Yeah,
jersey
dude.
cereal.
You what? You yes, you do. It's so beautiful. You do. You have a jersey cereal. Go look.
Oh yes. You're right. But it's not the legendary moment.
No,
It's
it's MGLE. It's the rookie. It's
yeah.
the
It's
rare.
MGLE. Yeah. I have
I loved
forgotten
it.
that.
I love it. It's such a good
I had
moment.
forgotten that.
It's such a good moment.
It's so
It's
crazy,
so
right?
good.
Because like it's so crazy. Like our memory is so flawed because I remember how much excitement I had at that moment. Yes, I can remember the moment. Yeah, sometimes some of these moments they slip my mind. Um, but yeah, that was a cool moment. Definitely, like um, I remember when I bought it. I remember making the offer to the user. I chatted with that user, and yeah, they were willing to let it go.
Man, it's just like when I was cruising through your collection, like I saw that and I was like, no way, this has to be like in his pin moments. It has to be. I go back to your overview. It's not. I'm like, what the hell? So obviously you didn't even know it was
Oh
there.
my
That's
god!
crazy,
But
man.
that
It's such a
connects us
good
to the
moment.
beginning of the episode. That connects us to the beginning of the episode, right?
Yeah.
Like like Jeremy Sohan seemed like a million years ago, and then just because of the whole
You
Wembanyama
just
thing,
forgot
right?
about him. You
Like
threw him away.
yeah. Oh my god. Um,
Dude, come
yeah,
on, man. Get a grip.
that
Haven't watched the Horry moment. Haven't watched the Tim moment. Doesn't even know he has a jersey cereal in his
I
awesome
told
collection. That's crazy.
I told everybody like in the community that I was taking like a hiatus during the summer. So I was just like, guys, I'm not following anything Top Shot. I'm like so sometimes I would read the chat, like the CNC chat, but I wouldn't like and I would talk and
Comment.
all of that stuff. But like I wasn't like actively buying anything on Top Shot. I'm like, no, I'll just do it later. I'm just enjoying my summer. Like I don't want to be involved in anything related to the to Discord or anything like that. And yeah, it takes time, man. It takes time, like to just to catch up, to like make offers, to buy moments, like to figure out like what you need, like
Right.
I've been on this platform for like 4 years, and then you're gonna laugh at this. I was doing the David Robinson challenge, and I'm like, I got it all. I got it all. Turns out that I forgot to do the Jalen Rose challenge. So like
No!
I had like an
That's the
Excel. I
worst
had like
one,
an
too.
Excel.
It's the
I
worst
had like
one.
an I had like an Excel document, and I'm like, yeah, like this is what I need, and so on, and I don't know how it slipped my mind, and I was like, oh my god, I completely forgot to buy this one to complete that challenge, and then the value went up, and I was like, oh my god, I'm an idiot. So yeah, so you just take your eyes off the platform, and then like you're so behind on like like doing a little bit of a cleanup to your collection, and Just I can't believe I didn't know. So yeah, so the whole thing is that I didn't know that there were 6 challenges. I thought it was just only 5. And then my 6th challenge was the Ginobili challenge that was part of the other set. So, but I
Well,
couldn't find any information about it.
well, I'm glad you got the Ginobili though. That's the main thing. And please
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
forget you have it.
yeah.
Please don't forget you have it.
No, 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 no. This moment,
Lock that bad
I
boy.
mean, it's
Lock it up.
yeah. They could have. I don't know. I remember seeing some footage of like Ginobili talking about that moment. I gotta see if I can find it. But I remember like
Yeah, post it on
Talked
X
about
if you
uh, Kobe Bryant talked about that. I think somebody talked. There's a video on the internet, either Kobe Bryant or like Derek Fisher, talking about how like Kobe Bryant was like, "Yo, who's that kid over there?" Like, and he was referring to Ginobili, right? And then, yeah, there's some stuff out there on the internet about like like the first time Ginobili scored on the Lakers, and that's from his first game. I haven't. Yeah,
I haven't
I
watched it.
gotta. You haven't watched it? Okay, so like
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
let's see. Let's see. There are only
It's a
3 Manu Ginobili moments on the platform.
it's a
Whoa,
dunk. I
that
know that.
Ginobili challenge. Nobody's selling it, man. 195 is the lowest.
Bro, look at the Tim Duncan. Nobody, dude.
Nobody's
The
selling
Tim
it.
Duncan, like everyone locked it. Done. Nobody's selling it.
Like I
26,
have
26 of them.
I wonder if like this photo from like the physical card
Here,
was
can you
actually from the
bring
same
it
game.
bring it closer? Let me see. Yeah, I can't see it for some reason.
Let me
What
see.
is
Let
it?
me go back to
Oh, there it
the.
is. I got it. I got it.
Oh, oh yeah, because I
Oh,
got the.
the
Yeah,
background on.
yeah. So I
Ginobili,
wonder
baby.
if this one's actually from the same game. It must be because I think they were very good at like just getting the first photo from the first game, right?
That
So I'm pretty
looks.
sure that was.
He's in a white jersey in the moment, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I think
awesome,
that's.
dude.
Yeah, so I think definitely that's from the same moment.
Oh man, so spoiled, you Spurs fans. Pelicans have nothing. We have nothing. We got Jordan Hawkins, Zion. So hopefully Anthony Davis
Um,
in the future.
you got the Puerto Rican king.
Oh, I love Jose, but he doesn't have a rare, man. Like I want him to get a rare, like a for the win or something. I
Do you think there's like
love
somehow
Jose.
like
I love that dude.
do you think that there's somehow like a Top Shot thing where they're like, he hasn't this player hasn't crossed like this many minutes, so let's not print him a rare moment. I think there has to be
Well,
something to that, right? Like there's got to be some metric that they follow. Um, like
well, they
for
gave
sure they look
freaking
at
Langston
stats and say
Galloway.
like, okay, we got like. Hmm?
They gave Langston Galloway in Series 1 a legendary. Or Series 2?
Yeah,
What was
those
it?
were different days. The people that I think, from what I've heard Steve talk about, the people running the platform back then weren't like huge basketball fans. Like it
Oh,
was just like
Crypto
you
Bros.
bring in your random family member and be like, "Hey, which one should we pick? This one or this one?" And like they say, "All right, this one." I think it was kind of
This
run
one.
like that. Dad, which one's better? This one or this one? This one.
That
So
is
I
wild,
think
isn't it?
that's how they chose some of these S1 moments. Like for example, I don't like. I think there's a LeBron moment. I think it's is it? I think it's either his Top Shot debut. Like it's just like a huge dunk. Yeah, it is his Top Shot debut.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
it's his debut.
I don't
He
like
just
it.
no, it's not that good. And Steph's debut sucks. I hate that assist. It
Yeah,
doesn't make any
but
sense. It's
in
Steph.
to be fair, that's a signature Steph pass, and yes,
Yeah,
I mean probably you could have gotten something better, but there's footage of Steph doing that back pass as a kid, like when he's playing in the
okay,
Raptors facilities.
okay.
So like that's how I can justify that one.
I think the best Top Shot debut is my guy Zion. That volleyball spike is I
Oh
I'm
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm so glad I got the Cosmic. I got the
Jazz
Cosmic
is
this year.
pretty good too.
Jaws is good.
Jamorans is pretty good. Um, who else has a really good one from S1? Um, Tatum's is pretty good. Heroes. I remember like watching Heroes Top Shot debut
Is it the
like on a
Snarl?
real game, and that was like a big winning moment.
Is it the
Tyler
Snarl where he
Heroes.
does that?
I
Is
think
it that one?
he takes a 3-pointer and that wins the game against Philadelphia.
I think it is a Snarl moment. I think it is.
Maybe I haven't seen it in a while, but yeah, I do have that one, and I think that one's really cool. Um,
I can't wait to see Stephen Castle's debut. I can't wait to see it. See what it
I
is.
think it'll
What's
be
gonna
that.
be?
So one of the Spurs beat writers was talking about how like that pass was a little bit of like Manu Ginobili. Like he's not at that
Oh,
level, but like sometimes like like Manu would make passes that people wouldn't see, and then in
yeah.
that game like he makes like a pass to the corner and it goes like over somebody's head, and then it gets to a 3-point shooter.
That
So
would be cool for
um,
a Spurs fan. That would be cool.
yeah, so I think it's yeah, so I think that could be the moment. But Castle looks like, oh man, he looks like a mixture of like Ja and Drew
I
Holiday.
love him.
Like I
I love
he
him so
he
damn much.
excites me. Yeah, yeah. It's very exciting for sure.
All right, man. We're about an hour in, so I want to wrap it up. I want to thank you so much for coming on, dude. Amazing. Couldn't have asked for a better Spurs fan. You have so many great stories. I love talking to you. I got to run you back on here sometime again in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Just like you know how to reach me. I'll make time to chat Spurs. So I'm glad that
I
you did
got
it
you, bro.
earlier in the season, right? Because like I don't know what
We can
the
revisit
season.
20 games. 20
Yeah.
games. We'll revisit 20
What's
games.
the over number for the Spurs to win this year? Is it like 28 games?
Okay, we'll check back at game 28 then.
Let's see. I cannot see any of those stats. But yeah, I think it's like 28 games or so. At some point, it used to be like 22 games, and then I think because of Wemby's Olympic, the number went up a lot. Um, but yeah, so we'll see.
Okay.
I'm just here
Yes.
watching some of these guys making some plays that they will probably run in the future. So
Yeah, man, we'll have to check back in like maybe like game 30 or 35 or something and maybe
sure,
get you back on
anytime,
here.
just let me know, deal. Thank you for having me, and I
All
hope
right.
that you have a wonderful day.
All right, brother. Thank you. Guys, thank you so much for listening to episode 6 of Down in the Bayou.